Preparations have been completed. The grid has been set. We're set to go for 250 miles here tonight. And race number 1, we've been here before, but here tonight, it's for points. Live from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, it's the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series live on V-Speed. Welcome in, everybody, for the Coastal Financial 250, week number 1 of this 36 race season. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, alongside we have Alex Gagnon in the booth with us. Alex, this is one of those racetracks. It's historic. It doesn't mean much as a driver until you find your way to victory lane here. Then it all makes sense.
It is one of those places that visually you look at a place of this size and this scope and you know winning here just means something a little bit different than it would anywhere else on the calendar, anywhere else on the schedule. With all the preparation, all the time and effort that's gone into it, this one is going to feel extra special for whoever gets to take home the checker tonight.
Of course, we looked at Daytona here a couple different times this week. We've had a lot of seasons starting off, but none as special as this. Following all the way through the regular season Cup Series schedule with the NASCAR Cup Series and what they do. It's going to be every Wednesday all the way through to November. But this is a look at the 2.5-mile oval located in Daytona Beach, Florida. 4 corners, tri-oval, 31 degrees of banking. We've seen it a few times this week, Alex, but the race analysis here tonight, we're going to have a stage at lap 33. That's where the points come in. That's what we haven't had in these first two. We had the clash, we had the duels, we set the grid, but now tonight, that's what matters most.
Yeah, obviously you want to try keep yourself in the hunt to get some points here at the stage at lap 33, but then obviously the big money, the big points come in tonight at the end of 100 laps, 250 miles. And just getting there is going to be a Herculean task, I think, tonight. Everything can go wrong in an instant at a place like Daytona.
With that, we're going to take you trackside now, and we're going to set your grid based off of these duels, the inside and outside on the front row. It's going to be Travis Gilbert and Nick Alves in the number 24, starting to his outside. Row number 2 belongs to Trevor Keith. Kevin Orlando Jr. will start in 4th position. 5th spot goes to Tyler Harrison. Alex Forget Berube getting the victory in the Truck Series to start their season off. He will start in the 6th spot. Jacob Sirkovich and Devin Hudgens will start 7th and 8th. Morgan Cook, V-Speed's very own, in the 51 9th. And Jeremy Burns, the fan favorite, will start in 10th.
Back in 11th tonight, it'll be the reigning champ, Rob Rader, alongside Trevor Erhardt. Dylan Picklesheimer and Justin Ritchie make up row number 7. Caleb Gilbert and Chris Nail in 15th and 16th tonight roll off just ahead of Michael Call and Matt Robinson, with row 10 being Dakota Floyd and the 02 of James Loveland.
Now a little bit behind on my clicking there, but Jackson McGeorge is going to start in 21st. Sam Taylor in 22nd position. Christopher Schaefer and Joe Joya will start 23rd and 24th. Grant Thorpe, 25th position. Brandon Richardson will start 26th. Carter Lenz in 27th with Kyle Diaz in 28th. 29th, Justice Murphy. Grant Turner will go to 30th.
Rounding out your field tonight, it'll be Michael Reed in the 91, Kyle Stewart in the 10, making up row 16. Parker Johnston and Michael Bennett will roll off in 33rd, 34th. Al Likens and Christian Bresnock, 35th and 36th. And rounding out our field tonight, Chad Lancaster rolling off in the 37th and final position.
As soon as iRacing decides to come up on the screen, there we go. Hook rate is 1 and done. Travis Gilbert will be the command car. And here we go for season number 5 of the Chapman Cup Series. And that's fitting to lead lap number 1. It's going to be a Coastal Financial machine of Nick Alves coming by the line to lead that first lap. He has the shove on the outside by Kevin Orlando. It's the first time that we've seen these cars up to full speed. You had it a little bit here in the duels, but not quite in a pack like this. Almost 40 cars going around this place.
Yeah, they are absolutely ripping right now in the early going, 2 by 2 all the way back through the field. A couple of cars darting in and out of their respective lanes, trying to make their way forward here. But Nick Alves in that Coastal Financial car up in good shape right now. He's got the lead over the Coastal Financial wholesaler, Travis Gilbert.
Coming out of turn 4, they were down to 183 miles per hour, but into the entry of turn 3, it was 196 for all these cars on the front row. Lap 2 completed. Nick Alves gets another one. So he's kind of timing this on the outside, and he doesn't care who's pushing. Last time it was the 27, that time it was the 19 of Berube. And a little turbulent there up near the wall, but these guys kind of riding it in and out. And there's an art to that side draft. You're seeing this where the outside line will pull right back up.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, Kevin Orlando and Travis Gilbert are dialed in right now on the inside. They just pulled away from the rest of that pack up to nearly 0.3 of a second here. The field's going to try and reel him in a little bit off the corner, but now Gilbert going to go to the high side. Not too often in this super speedway package do we see kind of a one-on-one battle for the lead without the rest of the field. And just as we say it, now that they've gone side by side, here they come. Trevor Keith to the back bumper of the 27.
Well, that's the way it goes. Travis Gilbert pushed the 27 with Orlando all the way out there. But such a sizable gap that when he did that overtake, there was no draft help. He caught up rather quickly. It's next generation stock car. We've seen it here on V-Speed before, but it's different than a variety of the other cars that are on the iRacing service. You can go back to even the Gen 4 cars, where if you even touch each other, these things spin out. When you go on this car, you'll be glued all the way through the corner. You see right there with the 22 and the 27, they're right on each other's bumpers. You couldn't do that anywhere else.
No, you absolutely couldn't, and these two are locked in here in the opening couple of laps. You see how much, as well, the 22 is shifting on the back bumper of the 27. And a car with less grip to the ground and a more rounded back bumper, that is going to turn it more times than not. But with how square kind of the back of these cars are, you can move where you have those pushes a little bit and have it not be detrimental versus some of the older gen cars here. As you see, Nick Alves slides into second ahead of Florget. Gilbert drops back to fourth. And Devin Hutton's settling into the 5th spot here. A little bit of shuffling up at the front of the field already, as the winner of duel number 2 from a week ago, Kevin Orlando Jr., looking to lead some laps here early.
Going to get one this time by to complete lap number 5. On the outside, though, we've got the second lane starting to reorganize. It's the number 9 on the outside. That driver needs no introduction. That's Jeremy Burns. Started in 10th, works his way up to 7th. Has Rob Rader on the back bumper, the 4-time champion. I know Jeremy Burns wants to get one of these championships under his belt. I believe he was tied, or if not, one win short last season of Rob Rader.
Yeah, he had a fantastic season. Just didn't come together when he needed it right at the tail end. But Burns, forced to be reckoned with on those road courses, but really at any track. I mean, you know, we highlight his road course dominance that we had last year, but he also won New Hampshire last year, coming back from multiple laps down in the closing laps and rallying to win that one. So no matter the circumstance, that 9 is going to be pretty fast. You see him trying to work this outside lane here. He's battling for 6th as they run. You got Trevor Keith to his inside right now. That's the position he's trying to take away. And as they make their way down to the back straightaway, he's going to get a little bit of a run here with some help from Rader, Picklesheimer, and more.
22 steps out in front, but doesn't quite commit to that outside line. The 9 of Burns comes down. Not sure if the 22 thought maybe they were going to get a head of steam. He's still waiting on them to get pushed up there. But for that inside, it's still kind of locked in tight. Even with the 22 stepping out, they lock back up really quickly, and that 19 of Berube gets right up to the bumper. That's where the other kind of, it goes against your instincts of being that third car in you get too close to the guy in front of you, probably going to send him through the back bumper of the guy in front of him. Domino effect, everyone's wrecking. Whereas this car, you want to stay right up on that bumper. It's the only way these lines move is if you push the pusher.
Yeah, and that's what we're starting to see now with this outside group. Raider right to the back bumper of Burns. Burns right to the back bumper of Travis Gilbert. And now they're starting to make some headway in that outside lane. They've gotten all the way up to that battle for second. He's alongside Nick Alves here, and he's looking for more as they go through the tri-oval. Orlando Jr. is going to lead another lap, but he has got some company up at the front of the field as the pole sitter looks to try to take that spot away going into one.
So Travis Gilbert on the outside. The 9. I know we go back and we were talking to Rob Rader there at one moment during that truck race, and he wasn't too happy with Travis Gilbert, so I'm still waiting to see if there's any fireworks from that as Rob Rader pushes the 9 right on past and leaves the 22 out to dry.
And by doing so has really opened up the ability here for him to get some distance on him. The 22 had the opportunity. Those guys dipped below him, and now Travis Gilbert's going to settle into third here behind Raider and Burns. And you know, with the 9 and the 53 being teammates, it is going to be very hard to try to get those two separated again now that they're up at the front of the field. Gilbert's going to probably need some help from someone behind him to go and try and make a run. And those three cars have a little bit of separation from Alves and Picklesheimer behind, as Orlando Jr. now going to tuck right back up to the back bumper of the 22. Curious to see if he'll try to step out here coming off of 4 or not.
Pretty content. We're going to take these laps away. We talk about the fuel, the strategy. We were talking pre-race where if you want to stay in the hunt for this thing, you got to pit in a group. You all have to communicate with each other. And if you're not in a Discord, you probably want to let guys know, hey, I'm coming down pit road this time by. There's a good chance you get ran over. We're going 190 miles per hour all the way down to 60 within probably 1,000 feet.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do is pull a Chris Wright and, go flying down pit road at 145 miles an hour and wipe yourself and somebody else out. So that is going to be a tricky thing when it comes down to it. If you're making green flag pit stops here tonight, you got to be so careful on how you get on those brakes. You don't want to lock them up, but you got to make sure you apply them forcefully, because if you get on the brakes too early, you absolutely can get run over from behind if someone trying to make up some time getting on to pit entry. This inside lane, Bradley, it's starting to really get strung out here. It is pretty clear what the preferred lane here is in the early going. About 10 cars deep or so before we get to the first side-by-side battle.
We saw that in the dual races as well, and it kind of caught me off guard to see the inside get such a headway. You really don't have to worry too much about the side draft if there's no cars to your outside. So it's worked out relatively well so far, and I think it's going to continue to work. But you got Travis Gilbert back here on the back of the Rob Raider. They're pushing out a little further ahead of Orlando Jr. And I don't know, for some reason, that 27 just isn't able to keep pace with those guys.
Yeah, I find it really fascinating because he was so good getting up to the front in the duel. He was so good getting up to the front here in the early couple laps, and then the moment he kind of fell back to fourth here, that momentum has really halted, although there is a bit of a breakaway forming in this lead pack, call it 7 or 8 cars, separating from the rest of the field. Really curious to see how that is shaken out. And I'll tell you what, one driver to keep an eye on here is Sam Taylor in the 1. You see him 2 cars ahead from the onboard of Tyler Harrison. He's up from 22nd to 9th here in the opening going, plus 13. He's been picking him off 1 a lap. At the rate he's going to get himself to the front here in no time.
It would appear that my trading paints did not load the paints correctly tonight. I'd like to apologize to Tyler Harrison. We'll try to get that resolved here during the stage break and try to get the proper paint scheme on that machine. I was actually kind of panning that camera back a little bit out of focus to get a look on that onboard. Tyler Harrison has a new sponsor this season. I won't unveil that until I have the proper information on our screen. So I don't know if it's on my end or if maybe that paint scheme's not quite ready just yet. We'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look. iRacing's been having some fun the past couple days with its reliability, so hopefully it was not anything to do there. But, you know, these laps are starting to tuck away a little bit, and for those cars still trying to make the outside lane work, it's starting to become a losing battle here. If you're folks like Caleb Gilbert or James Loveland, I mean, these guys are really starting to fall deeper and deeper into the field. They're currently battling with Morgan Cook. That's for spot number 14 in the running order here. And just a few laps ago, I mean, they were side by side up battling for the lead. And it feels like a far cry from that now, seeing how far back this outside lane is settled. They don't have a ton of support. They don't seem to have a ton of speed at the moment. And there's really not a whole lot on track happening if you're not in that inside lane.
It was the second duel where the outside actually got it going. But you're seeing cars pour down pit road here. A couple drivers lock it down, and these guys, I mean, the air brake, the flaps deployed, the landing gear was out, and I couldn't even keep pace with them so fast that they came down pit road.
Yeah, and that was exactly to what you were talking about earlier. How do you go from 180 to 45 or about 55 miles an hour and 1,000 feet? The answer is you get on those brakes in a hurry without trying to lock them up, and for the most part, they did a pretty good job. See now everyone rolling off here. Pretty clean stops for everyone. Doesn't look like anyone got a speeding entering pit road penalty, otherwise they would have been held. So good stop for that opening group trying to cut this first stage in half.
On board with Morgan Cook coming back out onto the racetrack.
Oh, we have a bunch of more takers for pit road as well.
You see the bumps there on Morgan's live camera. Full motion rig, but we've got about 10 more cars coming down pit road. And it looks like no black flags for this group either.
Yeah, it looked like they all got down cleanly. This first group that we're on board with got away clean. The leaders had come down pit road with Burns and Rader there. Travis Gilbert using that first stall to his advantage. Looks like Forget had a clean stop too. He made up some track position. So a lot of cars have cycled down pit road already. And that's going to leave Trevor Keith in charge of the remaining, say, 15 cars who have yet to come down pit road. And speaking of which, every single one of them just about is going to make their way down pit road now.
Yes, they do.
Oh, Sirkovich almost lost it.
Locking up on the brakes here for Sirkovich. Dangerous entry, but I think everyone good. This is clean.
And I'll tell you what, not often do you see a full thing of green flag pit stops go that cleanly for everybody. Looked like someone just drove on through, though.
Yeah,
so
someone missed their stall there, and I believe that's going to be...
Might have been before? Might have been Bresnak?
Yeah. Christian Bresnak, he's going to be out front, but at what cost? Missing your stall. These guys aren't going to make it on fuel. There's 18 laps on it here. Stage is at lap 33. I think they're going to be just short there. These cars can go about 60 miles on a fuel tank, but if you're out here by yourself, you're burning more. He's going to have to probably pull it back. Yep, he's going to come right back to pit road.
Yeah, and at this point, you know, now you just try to keep yourself afloat till the stage. As the rest of the leaders have all kind of found each other back on track here, it is an interesting merge of folks. So obviously Rader and Burns still at the front of the field here, but this time with Forget. They've got about a second and a half clear of the rest of the field, led by Trevor Keith and Tyler Harrison. Sirkovich in that mix as well. And this is where a lot of the draft help is, so they are going to start reeling in the leaders here pretty quickly if that lead three can't get dialed in nose to tail.
On board with Trevor Keith, and for some reason the camera's not working here for Trevor Keith. I'm not entirely sure why that's happening. Let's try another on board here just behind him. I actually don't have Tyler Harrison on here, so... We do have a camera with the 24 of Nick Alves, so we'll try to make sure that this camera isn't entirely broken tonight. Yeah, seems it's working for him.
There's Alves.
Not entirely sure what's going on there with the 15 of Keith. I apologize for that as well. Just little technical gremlins, and you can chalk it up to iRacing updates or Windows updates in general.
Yeah, I mean, software updates for the graphics package we use here as well. Who's to say, honestly? Glad to see Nick Alves on board there. His third car in the outside lane, currently following Grant Turner, who won the Clash here in dramatic fashion 2 weeks ago, leading only one lap but picking up the checkered. So far, though, has not been able to parlay that into a run up into the top 10 just yet. Turner currently finds himself 13th. And as I'm looking at the field here, the lead group has caught Rader, Burns, and Forget. And now Trevor Keith is going to be looking for the lead here on the high side. There is not a whole lot. Oh, big block from the 53. Almost got himself turned off of turn 2.
Break that momentum on the outside. Rob Rader moves up the racetrack. That allows the 9 and the 19 to get connected. Now going to go down and play that line. He sees that they join up. Played it well. That was a risky move here, but this is for stage points.
Yeah, it was well timed, but even the best timed block here at Daytona can go awry if you don't position yourself in the best way. And I also don't think the 15 was trying to absolutely run him over going through the corner that time around. It may have come a little bit of a break here. So Trevor Keith going to lead that outside one. Rader leading the inside will jump on board here a little deeper in the field. This is with Devin Hudgens, who currently finds himself just outside the top 10. About 6 or 7 cars deep here on the inside lane.
I gotta ask, was it Beef Speed's fault that he has the nickname Diapers, or is that a Morgan Cook nickname?
That might be a Morgan Cook one. I couldn't tell you though, honestly. That one may have been before my time.
Trying to get caught up on all the lore. We're going 3 wide through here.
Richardson nearly clobbered Kyle Stewart coming off of turn 4. Oh, and now contact with Turner. Everything getting a little out of sorts. He's going to get shot to the middle. Oh, boy, this almost like it goes Picklesheimer back up the racetrack into the wall. Huge wreck. Travis Gilbert and more involved. That's going to bring out the first yellow of the day here on lap 23. At least 8 cars collected in that one. Somebody's upside down. I think that might be Travis Gilbert.
Yes, it was.
Oh, man. Devastating situation there for the pole sitter. Has to get towed back, burn the fast repair, and might go a lap down here because of the tow. Look at how tightly it compressed up in the high lane. Forces Picklesheimer out and then just gets loose. At the same time, the 14 and the 39 get together, just foots the 22 up and over Bennett's car. Wow, I don't know how often I've seen that.
Wow. Who was in the 91?
And then they deep wreck it. Michael Reed in the 91 also gets a huge shot of that there. He runs at the bottom of this 3 wide here with Turner and Gilbert when the high line gets stacked up. Just watch the 91 here for the wild ride. Gets backed up and then tries to get down on the way from the racetrack and just gets absolutely devastated by Caleb Gilbert, who was trying to get down and out of the way. I mean, if you're the 91 there, I think your best bet's just to lock it down up high. Everyone's seen the wreck up there at that point. You got to stay up there and let everyone go below you.
Yeah, I'm going to look out this windshield with you here, Alex, and we're going to figure out what he saw. Just tunnel vision, I think, at this point. You got to know those cars are coming.
I think you see them. I almost wonder if it's like, I could still get down there before they go by sort of deal. But even still, by the time he was able to get that car rolling forward, you just gotta hang it up on the wall at that point. On board here with another car in the field.
It's Morgan Cook.
And just watching the 22 go up and over.
So getting some damage repaired there for the 51 of Morgan Cook, and you got Gilbert who had to tow to pit road because of being flipped over. I mean, there's no other way to get to the pits at that point. You're pretty much a sitting duck. And some of these cars damaged enough that they couldn't get back to pit road. That's another factor with this car. because the underbody is solid carbon fiber, it's a sheet all the way underneath of it. Once you break the suspension bad enough, the car will bottom out. You get stuck in the grass, you get stuck on the apron. Sometimes you can't get that car rolling again because you're down below, and it would appear that I have not fixed my issue, and I'm going to say that it's the next gen car that's causing this problem 100%. So I guess we take a quick commercial break. iRacing, figure it out. That's all I have to say.
So Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. You know, it's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
Welcome back here live. Well, there's the live shot as we get back into it at Daytona. Hopefully that lap counter fixes itself here momentarily. We're on lap 27 out of 80. That timer that you're seeing tick down there, probably a little bit broken for the moment, but we'll try to get that sorted out for you. Rob Rader in the top spot.
Yeah, what's fascinating about it is that the time limit for the session is not 50 minutes. It's actually scheduled for 2 hours and 50 minutes if needed. So I guess whenever it hits 0, we just have to reset back to 60. Graphics package having itself a day, that is for sure. But, you know, on track at least, we still have action to cover here in the closing laps of the opening stage. Rob Rader, Jeremy Burns leading the lines. Trevor Keith and Forget going to try and find a way around. They make their way into turn 1. Looks like Burns might have a nose ahead here, but is he going to be able to drop down in front of his teammate?
Well, we still have some of the information correct with where these drivers started here tonight, and the laps led might be reset. I'm not entirely sure, but Burns, I don't think, has led a lap here, so that might be accurate. This could be the first one today, and it's coming just before the stage at lap 33.
Yeah, he's going to certainly try to make it happen. He's also got a teammate behind him in Alex Forget. So So the 19 and the 53 and the 9 all a part of that mix. However, the inside lane got a huge push that time off of 4. And now Harrison going to step out with a big block there on the 9. Going to be the new leader of that outside lane. Also cripples the momentum of the inside, taking away that third car in the line. And now Harrison's going to get right up to the long side of the 53. That outside lane is snaking through this corner.
On the high line for that Camry, trying to hold on to it. A lot of weaving back and forth. Ride the Lightning down the back stretch to the outside of Rob Rader. Can the 9 and the 45 get by? Extra hard push there from the 15 to keep Rob Rader out front.
Yeah, but not for long. Some good draft help is going to put the 45 in position here as they make their way off of turn 4. Harrison, big time slide off the corner. Nearly was out of sorts. He will technically be the leader of that lap, I believe. Boy, did he have to work for that one. Oh, he didn't get credit for it. Rader got him at the line. Man, it was because of that slide, but a phenomenal save from the 45. To even be still pointed the right direction. That car was every way but forwards there coming off of turn 4.
Right on board here with Tyler Harrison. You can see how the car just kind of shifts back and forth. It's constantly wobbling. It's kind of like jumping onto a waterbed, and it's just continuous wake back and forth. It's a weird analogy, I know. We've only got 3 laps left to figure it out, so that's all I have to tell you.
We are inside the nose there of the number 9 of Jeremy Burns. That's how much he's been pushing Tyler Harrison here with 3 to go in the stage, or 2 to go in the stage. And it's just getting dicey up at the front a little bit. These pushes starting to get a little bit more intense from both the top and the bottom side. And, I mean, we saw the 45 nearly lose it. Picklesheimer gets shuffled out of line for a second there, deeper into the field. And once again, it'll be door-to-door going into turns 3 and 4 on board with Nick Alves watching all of this happen in front of him. Currently 4th car on the outside.
2 more laps here. Stage at the end of lap 33. Tyler Harrison will get the lap led this time by 3/100ths of a second. Riding on board with Alves, though, with the traffic jam on this outside. Haven't seen the third line develop. Will we see it here, Alex?
Well, it's certainly a possibility, and I think the move, if anywhere, would come from the 9 and the 19 if they leave the 45 out to dry. Don't know if they would, but it's something that they could definitely consider as another scary moment there for the 45. Some of these pushes are hitting Harrison in the weakest parts of the car here. He's getting all out of sorts from pushes that are not hitting flush to the back bumper. He's doing a good job holding on to it right now. As now Rader inches ahead just a little bit here and will be the leader of this lap as they head into the final lap here of stage number 1.
Stage number 1 about to be completed. From
Big
Daytona,
side
number 1. Harrison probably getting set up here. I think the 9's getting ready to go.
I think he might be looking to jump to the outside here. Think about it. Oh, caution's out deeper in the field. Big wreck at the tail end of the field. Justice Murphy, Caleb Gilbert, Justin Ritchie, and more. They were on their way to the stage break when the caution came out. So Rob Rader, I believe, will be credited as the stage winner here in the 53 machine. A great start to his campaign to repeat as champion once again. The stage win here at Daytona. Tyler Harrison, a formidable effort. Not going to be enough, though. He'll finish second in that stage. Was going to try to make a run going into 3 and 4, it looked like, but was denied the opportunity when there was a big wreck at the tail end of the field.
We'll take you back on the V-Speed instant replay to try to figure out what happened here exactly. This is on board with Justin Ritchie, or Kyle Stewart, rather. This happens in front of him. Car goes for a ride down through the grass there. I want to say that was the number 7 that got some of the worst damage. Back this up one more time.
Yeah, we'll take one more look at it here on board with Joe Joya. pretty deep into the field here, down on this inside lane. It's only 2x2 through this part of the field here. And the wreck happens a little further ahead where it was 3 wide. Hard impact into the wall for Richie and for Murphy. And then just shuffled out of the groove there is the 7. Big time hit for the 55. He got, I think, probably the worst bit of wall contact of anybody we've seen. This is off the nose here of the 51, Morgan Cook. He got a pretty good view of this one as it happened right in front of him.
You saw the checkup, and then you see smoke, so you know something's coming when they check up that hard. But for the most part, Morgan Cook makes that out pretty well. I mean, he's had some repairs. We've had on boards with him already here today, but every time we went on board with the 51, he's been in the middle of things and got pretty lucky so far.
Yeah, it certainly could have been worse for him on either of those 2 cautions. As we're seeing this race off of pit road, it's going to go the way of Dakota Floyd. We have not talked about a ton here tonight. A little bit of pit strategy at play, gets him a little off cycle and gets him a ton of track position.
The Ray Brigg 57 is going to come out first with a fuel-only stop. Jackson McGeorge also on a fuel-only. Rob Rader took 4 tires. There's a couple others behind that on Michael Call, Grant Turner, fuel-only, and then Trevor Keith and Burns. Pretty much everyone from there on back took 4 tires. You know, you got all these extra sets, but this isn't really a track where that's going to be a factor, Alex. It doesn't really matter as much. You can take 4 tires, but under green flag conditions, you're most likely going to see these guys go for fuel only or right sides.
Yeah, and that is a good way to get yourself a little bit of track position here. We're seeing it with the 57. Going to put them up front. And as long as you've got enough fuel to run the same distance as those who had the longer stops, you're going to keep yourself in good position because tire wear not really going to be a huge factor here tonight. I don't believe the track temp is all that high. So they don't really have to worry about tire wear a ton. They don't have to worry about the handling a ton. Yeah, track temp at 89 is a little warm, but I mean, we've seen significantly higher, so I don't think it'll be too big an issue here for the 57 or the 98 of Jackson McGeorge. And that'll get them some really quality opportunities here on this restart.
Well, with that, we'll take another quick break here on V-Speed. Don't go anywhere. Plenty of racing left to be done. The Chapman Cup Series live on V-Speed. It's the Coastal Financial 250 at Daytona.
Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community.
Back here live at Daytona, we're set to go for stage number 2. An actual caution there as we took the white flag for that stage. But green flag is out. Dakota Floyd on the top spot.
Floyd's going to lead him here through turns 1 and 2. Rob Rader on his back bumper, giving a pretty hefty push going to the back straightaway. Immediately bails to go to the high side, and he's going to look to take the lead for himself here with the 98 and the 39. Going to try to give him a shove down the back straightaway. And now they're going to drop down in front of Dakota Floyd. New leader, Rob Rader. Jackson McGeorge settling in to P2.
You'll have 37 cars out on this racetrack. We mentioned that they do have a fast repair here tonight, and if you had to burn that earlier when we had that accident right around lap 23, this is where you want to really dial it back, and even more cars there on lap 33. It comes in threes, so where do we see the next one?
That will be the question. It can really strike at any moment, especially when they're running multiple lanes wide. Lanes are snaking back and forth. Just takes one errant twitch, and there goes a third of the field. We've already seen it happen a couple times tonight. We'll jump on board here with Trevor Erhardt. He's watching that outside lane pull away from him just a little bit. He's trying to get to the back bumper of Sirkovich up ahead. He's going to do a great job reeling him in here. Goes flying by Diaz and now Likens. He's going to get into the mix here, into the top 10 in just a moment. If he can reel in the back bumper of the 5, looks like he will do so. Some decent support here on the outside lane. Grant Turner, the leader of that bunch, trying to get to the front here and get his second Racing Rev win here at Daytona in the matter of a couple weeks.
To mention as we were riding on board, it kind of reminded me we didn't have qualifying here today, so the pole award did not come out. But you know, going back to who did start up front, we do have to mention that that was our Coastal Financial Pole Award. Grant Turner drops down in front of Rob Rader, trying to find that pole center. We're kind of cycling around here.
Yeah, that would car be number. The 22 of Travis Gilbert, second to last car on the outside lane right now, was the winner of the Coastal Financial Pole Award. Got the lead, duel number 1 to green last week, but got caught up in an early incident. But he didn't have to worry about the track position woes in that one starting up front here today, and then got caught up in that lap 23 incident. So been a very up and down speed weeks here for Travis Gilbert.
There's your pole center, and our mission at Coastal Financial is to provide comprehensive and, well, I just broke that read. It broke my brain. Hold on 1 second here. Let me fix that. There's a big typo in here. This is our mission at Coastal Financial, is to provide comprehensive financial planning solutions tailored to each individual's unique needs and goals, with the aim of empowering our clients to make informed financial decisions and achieve their financial potential. You can find us at coastalfinancial.com or on Facebook at Coastal Financial. I promise that wasn't painful. I just I must have hit a space bar somewhere along the way. Just add that to the list of things that might go wrong here in a V-Speed broadcast tonight. I don't know why they're going wrong.
If you walk under a ladder or something, you know, pet a black cat, step on a sidewalk crack or something, I mean, it seems like categorically bad luck tonight, even from folks who, I mean, we typically, you know, no show is ever truly perfect, but even tonight, I feel like we are getting some astronomically bad luck.
Yeah, I think because I had that 99% success rate last season, I'm now getting audited by the iRacing gods. That's all I can come up with.
Well, they're choosing a hell of a time to do it here, and the opening points race of the season is a big move to the bottom of the racetrack, nearly collects the entire front of the field. Sirkovich made the move first. Harrison and Keith both went down to block it, and things got really hairy up in the top 5 there for a moment. But Trevor Keith going to hold on to the lead here momentarily with Harrison and Sirkovich behind. Trevor Erhardt now leading that outside lane with Nick Alves in tow.
We're approaching the halfway mark of this race and just about at that 125 miles. Rob Rader has fallen back outside the top 10, despite on the outside with Brandon Richardson.
Jumps through the field here a little bit, jumping on there with Dakota Floyd and Jackson McGeorge. Those two cars were the front row when we restarted just a few laps ago. They now find themselves both outside the top 10.
Wow, that
and
inside
falling.
checked up hard here.
Whoa! And a wreck going into turn 1. Maybe. Oh, they might have saved it. Picklesheimer down on the apron. I think we're going to stay green, but that was almost catastrophe going into turn 1.
There was a big check up here on the inside. Picklesheimer's in the middle, drops down to the bottom, and wouldn't you know it, the 51 of Morgan Cook was right near it. I thought he just escaped that one. James Loveland got a piece of it. How did they not crash there?
Yeah, and Justin Ritchie also has already, I believe, used his fast repair tonight. He was a big wreck in the that second caution of the night. He hit that outside wall hard. He's lucky to have not been collected in that one more. So we jump on board here with Loveland, currently scored in the 22nd position. And not a whole lot of friends out there right now, Bradley. He's just looking for any sort of drafting help, getting to the mix. He's got a couple cars behind him, but nobody in front of him.
Yeah, and here's the other part. Because of that contact and that little bit of an incident, it was enough to claim almost a second and a half. Oh,
they're wrecking.
That's Morgan Cook
Al
involved.
Likens. Morgan Cook and Al Likens wrecking into turn 3. My caution's out for the third time here today, and we saw that happen in real time on board with the car just behind him there, and James Loveland.
Morgan Cook not happy about that. Likens totaled as well. Had to tow to pit road. Let's go back on our instant replay. What happens here?
I'm not entirely sure where. There's the 13, 2 cars behind him. So Al Likens goes high. Cook is the second to last car on the inside row here. That blue and green number 51 moves up to try to get a bit of a side draft, and yeah, just kind of doors him. And that's all she wrote. I mean, big contact for both him and Likens. Likens made the move up high. Cook was trying to do some side drafting, then made it 3 wide here when they both got a run on Travis Gilbert, who had to check up. And I don't know if it was thinking that Likens thought it was still only going to be 2 wide and Cook saw it was going to be 3 or what, but they ran out of space there in a hurry, and it led to a big incident for both of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know there. What the catalyst was that caused this to all fall apart. Cook went to the outside of the 22 a little bit there, but he wasn't really to the outside yet. He could have dropped back in. I don't know if temps were a factor in this. Back this up one more time, and we're going to play this in slow motion. There's the initial contact with the 13, and then you're going to see more contact here as he comes up into him. Now, Likens probably could have gave a little more room, but I think Cook just kind of came up.
That's what I was looking at. It looked like a side draft that just turned into some door banging going into turn 3, and it's a tough place to have that happen. So we're just about at the halfway point of this one, and you know, with this being our third caution of the day, some folks have been able to get through this relatively unscathed. Other cars have been caught up in 1 or 2 of these. The 51 caught up in that one big time. Likens, I believe, that might be the second one that he's been caught up in at this point tonight.
This will put the 11 of Matt Robinson up front. Brandon Richardson, Nick Alves, Alex Forget, Berube, Trevor Erhardt, Rob Rader, Trevor Keith, Christopher Schaefer, Michael Bennett, and Tyler Harrison for that top 10. It's getting quiet for some of the fan favorites. Jeremy Burns is back at 16th, James Loveland in 17th. You got Kevin Orlando Jr. all the way back to 19th here. Chris Nail in 24th, Carter Lenz 25th. It's quiet nights for these guys. Haven't really said their names too much here tonight. Would you say for this next restart, we go on board with some of these drivers and see what it looks like deep in this field? Because I don't think guys like Caleb Gilbert, Kyle Diaz have really worked past the top 20.
And it's easier said than done. Everyone says, oh, super speedway racing, you just get in the draft line that's moving faster and get pulled ahead. But, sometimes the lines aren't moving. Sometimes you're stuck in a spot you don't want to be. And these restarts, you have next to no visibility. You just have to trust that the person in front of you is getting up the speed as well. So I think riding on board with one of these guys here for the restart is going to be a lot of fun to watch. You see them making the choose cone there just before the start-finish line. A lot of takers for that low side. Diaz is going to get a couple of spots through attrition there on the choose cone. But, restarting on the outside has its own perils, as it's seen the opening 48 laps tonight.
But it seems to be the place that you want to be. It's the line that's making the most progress here tonight. We saw that in the duels. We're seeing it again here. However, on the flip side of that, it's no longer line now because everyone wants to be in it. And you can find yourself quickly falling back, 10, 12 positions. If something happens in front of you, there's a lot more cars that could be involved. I don't know. I think electing to start on the outside right now, that's probably where I would want to be.
And it's also tougher to make a move on the inside lane. If those cars on the outside, if they decide to run the middles instead of the outside, you're kind of boxed in, while those cars on the outside will have an option because they know the cars down low aren't going to run the middle, they're going to run the apron. So it does limit your options a little bit running the inside, but if it's the faster lane, you take what you can get from it, but at some point you're going to have to try to pop out and make a move and then find a way back in. And that is part of the game when it comes to super speedway racing. Part of the challenge is knowing when to make a move and when to stay put. And we're even halfway through tonight's race, which means the back half we're going to see even more daring moves. A lot will work. Maybe a few of them won't.
Well, green flag back underway. Matt Robinson into turn 1. Go on board with some of these drivers in the back.
On board here with Christian Bresnock, and as you try to, you see from his viewpoint here, like when you are in the draft, you really only see the couple of cars around you. You don't see the giant line of folks that are in front of you until you hit the corner, and then that's when you see the never-ending snake kind of appear and then disappear when they exit the corner, and everyone gets back in single file in a straight line.
Big head of steam here for Kyle Diaz, though. There's nobody on this outside. There's a big checkup here.
Boy, did he go flying past about 5-6 cars. Pulled it all the way up to Devin Hudgens there. Moves himself into the top 20 from being outside the top 25.
Up to 18th now for Kyle Diaz, continuing to make that progress. You see the 57 of Dakota Floyd, the 02 of James Loveland there on the high line. Moving all the way towards this front. Loveland just outside the top 10 right now, has the 39 of Grant Turner to the inside.
That outside lane, especially up front, not getting a ton of stability up there. The two cars leading that pack right now, the 8 of Richardson and the 23 of Schaefer, have not really been able to get locked in too well with one another. And because of it, they're starting to fall back just a little bit. There's the onboard with Grant Turner, currently on board with in the 10th position. About 6 cars deep or so on this inside lane. He won the clash in dramatic fashion, and He starts to find himself toward the back end of this one, trying to keep himself in the hunt.
Position though, if you're anywhere near this top 10, it's kind of where you want to be. If you're one of those drivers that sits back and waits for attrition, maybe waits for drivers to make mistakes, get themselves knocked out of the event, that's probably where you want to hang for a while. Now we're past the halfway mark by 2 laps. What's the motive now? We had our stages. If you didn't get points in that top 10, now the situation warrants you go for the victory. I think for a lot of these guys, Rob Rader probably content with just riding around at this point. We got the stage, is sitting at 12th. No reason to push the issue.
Yeah, at least not until you get a little deeper into the race. This entire part of the race, this middle part, once you get past the stage, in my opinion, is very much a situation of who around you can you work with, and you're doing a lot of scouting. Who's stable, who's a good pusher, who can receive these kind of pushes, who's going to be there at the end, who can I work with, who's going to be a problem. All those kind of questions you're trying to figure out in real time while you're ripping around this place at close to 200 miles an hour. You see that outside lane now starting to get dialed in a little bit. Richardson, McGeorge, and Loveland going to lead the outside group. Schaefer going to try to get something going down low. He's got Matt Robinson going with him. Now do the 8 and the 98 drop down, or do they stay up high here as they make their way off of turn 4?
We're going to see a drop down. Actually, 23 gets a little bobble, hits that apron. The 11's going to go by. Falls back to the 4th, 5th position. 23 drops down. It's Christopher Schaefer trying to get something going. Here's the surge back. The opposite and equal reaction to that line. McAlv's down there as well. Goes all the way back to Trevor Erhardt. Bottom line, starting to grow more and more cars. However, it's not as fast this time around. I think it's more dependent on who that leader is.
It's partially dependent on who that leader is. Richardson now going to down the hold on to the lead here. Oh, almost a bit of contact between Schaefer and McGeorge. Now trying to play the lines. It's a dangerous game to play through the tri-oval as Richardson now going to move back up high. Here comes Schaefer with a run to the inside. They're going to be door to door as they make their way in the 1 and 2. Business starting to pick up at the front of the field with 45 to go next time by. Christopher Schaefer now into the lead for the first time here tonight. And he is going to be able to play, try to play both lines here if he wants to try to take away that momentum from Richardson. He was clear coming off of turn 2. Not clear now, though, as the 8 comes storming back.
Christopher Schaefer trying to get his first lap led here today. Has the 11. Pinch on the corner. Gets up into the door of the 8. It was Matt Robinson that got up there into Brandon Richardson. And Richardson not going to be able to hold on. Schaefer, lap led.
Schaefer at the bottom of the racetrack. Matt Robinson going to give him a nice little push here through 1 and 2. Richardson up high with Jackson McGeorge. The outside lane has a nose ahead here as they go back down the straightaway once again. Neither side really able to cement themselves as the leader at this point in time. A lot of ebbs and flows. As the outside lane starts to fall apart, McGeorge had to get off the throttle temporarily. Really checked up that outside lane, which is going to allow Schaefer to get a big run here while the outside line tries to get reorganized. Richardson falling back now into a battle with Matt Robinson for second.
I just want to say that it was most likely temps that caused that issue. Look to the outside, he's still not glued to that bumper. The 8 continues to fall back. I think Jackson McGeorge is starting to have an overheat.
Gets right to the back bumper, though, down the back straightaway. This is the dangerous game you got to play when you're one of the pushing cars up toward the front, especially that's the second car in line. You'll end up getting to the back bumper more often than not here, with the lead car having to experience the most drag of anyone in the line. But then when you run on the back bumper so often, there's no opportunity to get clean air to the nose, to the grill of that car. As you see a big push there. Yeah, got a big shove there. Almost got himself and the 8 out of sorts. But yeah, without being able to get clean air to the nose of the car, the engine temps can skyrocket in a hurry. And you got to be very mindful when you are the pushing car. How hard can I push versus how bad does my engine need that clean air?
Riding back here with Trevor Keith, Jeremy Burns. This is in the 24th and 25th position. You see how long that snake of cars on both lines is getting. If you're this far back, you're seeing there's almost 40 laps to go. The opportunity is going to present itself momentarily with pit stops.
And this is the thing when it comes to trying to pit at this point, if it's going to be under green, you got to keep an eye out for who's going to be above you. And if you're going to be in that outside lane and you need to come down pit road, you have to find a way to the bottom of the racetrack, because you can't just cut through traffic and expect it to go well for you or anybody else in the field. We jump on board here. This is Michael Call way back in the 30th spot, but even back in 30th, you know, less than 2 seconds away from the lead. That's just how big this lead group is right now.
Yeah, this is where you're probably contemplating something dramatic or desperate. I don't know that being this far back this late in this race is where you want to be. You better start making some moves. I know that it's a little sketchy. You see these guys side by side, 15, 20 rows deep in front of you. But now is the time to go. You got to start making things happen. For Michael Call, it might be one of those moments you go up the middle. Really no other choice.
Now, right now for the 89, he just has to get up to the back bumper of Sirkovich to start. Although he might be hanging back intentionally just a little bit, because he might be looking at this as a wreck waiting to happen. It's not like these lines have been particularly steady tonight. They've been fast, and there's been the ability to move around, but we have seen a few incidents that have come from badly timed pushes or just general contact between the lines. So maybe just waiting to see what happens as this inside lane gets checked up a little bit going into turn 1. It's ricocheting all the way back. There it was. The 12 into the 84, thing getting shuffled deeper into the field. That started all the way up at the front and just worked its way through the line, through 1 and 2. Luckily, though, everyone was able to keep it together. And that's the other thing with super speedway racing. Nowhere else are you going to have just one car checking up just a little bit that is going to just work its way through a pack of cars quite like it will here at Daytona.
That's that wave effect that we see a lot. Guys can only see a spoiler from back here. It's really difficult to tell. It's so sudden with those checkups. And that's where we've had a couple of our cautions here tonight. Especially there on that outside where the guys up high.
Oh, here comes another one.
Again here. That's Pickle Cyber in the 35. He's been a part of quite a few of these tonight.
Yeah, but in his defense, that one started all the way up with the leaders. Schaefer, Robinson, and Alves got all out of sorts going into 1, and it worked its way deeper and deeper back as you take a look here at the front of the field. Look at this checkup and how drastic this wave gets by the time it gets to the middle of the field.
Yeah, it keeps going all the way back through.
By the time it gets back here, everything's fanning out 2-3 wide. People are hitting the apron. Everyone's trying to avoid it. And while we were looking at that, we have some action up at the front. Jackson McGeorge now going to take over the lead. Richardson dropped low to take away the lead from Schaefer. And then the outside line just got a monster run. So McGeorge and Loveland with Justin Ritchie behind him going to move into the top 3. Tell you what, that one quick repair they were allotted tonight, coming in big time for the 55. He absolutely hammered the wall in the wreck that ended the opening stage. And yet he finds himself here right in the mix on lap 63.
8 to the inside. Richardson getting another push there from the 23 of Christopher Schaefer. Trying to get something going. Line's still not as effective as it was at the start of this race. Outside has hung with him a lot more this time.
Yeah, the opening 50 laps or so, it seemed like everyone was gravitating toward the bottom. This time around, though, the high side has been more than capable of holding their own. McGeorge now getting delayed some laps. Is Richie going to make a move to the bottom? He'll take over as the lead car on the inside lane. And he has his eyes set on taking the lead away from the number 98 machine. Richie had a good run in the Clash, finished on the podium in that one. He knows how to get it done here at Daytona, looking to try and do it again here tonight with potentially winning the Daytona 250, the Coastal Financial 250 as it was. Right now, gonna maybe get a run on McGeorge, who shuts the door on him. And now the 98 gonna try and manage the speed of both lanes down the back straightaway.
Max McGeorge playing both lines, gonna be stuck to the nose. The 55 of Justin Ritchie just wants to lead a lap. Finished on the podium, like you said, got that post-race interview. He wants to do one better. He wants to get up here and win this thing.
That he does. He is laying into the back bumper of the High Noon machine right now. So we hit the 2/3 mark of this race. McGeorge leads over Ritchie and Richardson. Schaefer and Robinson rounding out your top 5 for anyone joining us late. Rob Rader won the opening stage as they wrecked behind him on the final lap of that one. We've had 3 cautions, 12 lead changes to this point. And now we've got ourselves quite the line has formed on the inside. Basically over the course of a lap. Just a lap ago it was pretty dead even. And now everyone is held down low.
It's got to be pit stops here, Alex. See no other reason for it.
Got to imagine you're probably right. Let's take a look here off of 4, and here comes the field. Every other car, it looks like, going to peel off down pit road this time, led by McGeorge, Ritchie, and Richardson. About 15, 20 cars all stopping. Oh, Likens into the wall.
Likens trying to get to his pit stall. The 4 had the same idea. His pit stall just in front. But down and away here, the 8 is going to lose a couple positions. I think he's going to end up behind the 55.
Yeah, Christopher Schaefer with a great stop. The 23 gets out ahead of all of them. And now the rest of the field roaring down into turn 4. It looks like the rest of them here, I think, going to be thinking about making a stop here in just a moment as well. And here comes just about everybody else, not named Travis Gilbert.
I think Gilbert got caught off guard there on that one.
Now, Travis Gilbert has been working from behind all day long. He just got back on the lead lap. And now just about the rest of the field is all coming down pit road to make their stops. So in the opening cycle of pit stops, Bradley, we saw 3 groups of about 1/3 of the field. This time, about 2 groups of half each.
Down and away for the 11 of Matt Robinson. Rob Rader picks up a couple positions. He's going to be glued to this back bumper as they go down the apron. Here comes the access point. Have to stay below that yellow line all the way through turns 1 and 2. Do not merge on the racetrack. You see that blue cone? This is where these drivers can come back up on the racing surface.
It looks like it was a pretty good stop for him. Here comes the rest of the field, though, with significantly more pace as the second group is trying to get up to speed. There's Justin Ritchie, who's trying to lead this group who came off of pit road. They left the 23 somewhere behind, even though he was the fastest car off pit road in that first group. However, with only 3 cars lined up, I don't know if it's going to be enough to take the lead here. So they're getting a bit of a run off of turn 4, but Robinson going to hold on to it here. So when this all cycled through, shout out to the 11 of Matt Robinson, who looks like he's going to take over as the race leader, at least for now. But he is in a fight here with Ritchie and Rader just behind him.
That last car that just came down pit road cycles out for what should be our last round of green flag pit stops. Do not expect these drivers to come down unless they have damage at this point.
This also did a big shakeup to the running order before this. I mean, notably, there is a huge gap right now between these top 11 cars and the rest of the field behind them. You see everyone trying to get strung back together. They're picking up a couple more takers, but really anything behind Parker Johnston, it's about a 2.5 second gap from 13th to 14th. So unless Michael Bennett and company can find a way to rally up to this lead group, that might be all she wrote about half the field here. They've got some work to do.
James Loveland is the car pushing in this second group. You hear kind of lifting off the throttle there for the 14, trying to get reconnected to the 0-2. And seemed to help him there that time down the backstretch. That lead continues to grow. It's now at 2.8 seconds for that top car and a gap of about 1.8 to Parker Johnston.
And the one thing that is saving Bennett and company right now is that this group, even at the tail end of this lead pack, are all running side by side, which is going to slow them down just a little bit to potentially help bring in the 14, the 02 and more. See now Parker Johnston going to dive to the inside, get behind Trevor Erhardt. I'm going to try and leave out those 3 cars on the high side. That's Richie, McGeorge, and Richardson. Those guys all came down pit road at the same time. The only ones who were able to keep pace with the group that came in the next lap. I mean, they just got so well connected on that second stop. Robinson, Rader, Caleb Gilbert, Kyle Diaz, Nick Alves, they all have got this thing going on right now. And tell you what, if that pit cycle has really worked for anybody, it is Kyle Diaz. That man started 28th, was having some trouble breaking through into the top 10 today, and now he finds himself running 4th with less than 30 laps to go.
It kind of felt like a NASCAR Thunder race where he passed 10 cars on one backstretch with a little bit of a checkup on that inside. He just thundered right on past, and he's continued to grow that. Moving up through the field, 24 positions gained now for the 26.
And he's looking to pick up a few more here in the closing laps. You know, now that he's gotten this far, you know he wouldn't be content just to settle on the 4th. You just know he'd be looking to go for the win here. That being said, there's not a whole lot of cars in this lead pack who are ready to jump out to the high side at this moment in time. You got Richie and McGeorge still out there, but that's about it. Everyone else running the apron as they make their way off of 2, and you know, I'm looking at the timing gap, and looks like this second group, they're all single file. They know what they need to do to try to catch the group ahead of them, and now it's just a matter of if they can do it.
The 14 is being cooperative. James Loveland using the back bumper when he needs to. You've got Morgan Cook in this mix, as well as Trevor Keith, Kyle Stewart, Devin Hudgens. There's quite a lot of big names in this group, so it's almost too big to fail. That has to happen. You got guys that this is some of their best racing, and this week could kind of set the tempo for the next 20 plus.
Yeah, especially you look at this group that are running. You have the pole sitter, the Clash winner, and both dual winners all in this group. There is a lot of very recent success all in that second group right now. They're trying to reel in the leaders, and right now having a whale of a time trying to do so. That gap between them and the tail end of the lead group, about 1.9 seconds as they run. As they go around here, it's about 25 and change to go in this one.
This is off the back end of Justin Ritchie. Just faintly see when we get down this backstretch. 2 seconds. It's continuing to grow. There's another couple tenths that last time by. And Ritchie at the tail end of this. He was on the verge of leading a lap. Just didn't get enough of a push. And Rob Rader, Matt Robinson maintain this lead with 25 laps to go. Race number 1. The Coastal Financial 250 at Daytona. It all led up to this. The Clash, the duels, and now points racing to start out season 5.
I tell you what, the worst thing that has ever that you could see for that second group right now has happened with the lead one. They've all gotten single file as well, which means they're not going to really be able to generate much of a run on them until they get back to side-by-side racing. But with this lead pack, there's really not a need at the moment. No one has been able to successfully make that outside work since the green flag stopped, and you're going to need a lot of cars coordinated to try to make something like that happen, and everyone more than content right now to maintain this group to make sure they're one of those top 14 cars or so they don't have to worry about everybody behind them getting involved into the mix as well. They jump on board with Jeremy Burns currently running in the 8th position. Was running up toward the front early, wasn't able to lead a lap, but was in the top 3 for a good minute, fell back, and this is about as high as we've seen him since he was in the podium positions.
Listen to the driver I'm paying attention to. If there's anybody in this group that wants to step out with under 3-4 to go, I think Jeremy Burns probably goes with Trevor Erhardt, maybe pulls up with Justice Murphy. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I can tell you that if there's a possibility, if there's a way for this 9 car to pick up these next 7 spots, this is the guy that's going to find the way.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he has in mind, although if I'm Matt Robinson right now at the front of the field, I would have to be feeling a little bit uneasy with my current situation as Rader and Caleb Gilbert behind him. Both teammates, they're both sitting 2-3 right now. Robinson's closest teammate, I believe, is Trevor Erhardt back in the 9th position. So, you know, right now you've got the lead, but how long are you going to have it before the cars who are directly supporting that effort bail on you to try to make a move? Closest neutral party, you could say, is Kyle Diaz back in the 4th position. But that would only make things 2 by 2. Rader and Caleb Gilbert both incredibly fast, both winners last season. An interesting predicament here for race leader Matt Robbins. Right now everything's fine, but you got to imagine he also realized behind the wheel right now that the moment they decide it's not going to be fine, it's going to be a big issue.
On the outside, Morgan Cook getting the push from the 10. Kyle Stewart, they're trying to get something going. They can see they're losing ground. Maybe the 51 can get these guys caught back up.
Yeah, a bit of a battle here for the 14th position. They're trying to find a way to reel in this lead pack, but the more they get stuck side by side, the more time they're just going to keep bleeding to that group in front of them. So whatever they decide on doing, they'll have to make a move soon. And it does not appear to be solving itself anytime that quickly. They're getting 3 wide behind them. Kyler Harrison was really trying to find a spot to put his race car. No one was giving him room. Eventually found a spot there toward the tail end of the field. But Cook and Bennett door-to-door here for about position 14 or so. And you can see off the hood of the 51 the gap to the lead pack, who continue to run single file and are continuing to put some distance on this second group.
Cook is actually a lap down here, so he needs a caution to come out. He would be third in line. It's actually Al Likens that has that lucky pass position, and lucky for him, he's up in this front group, uncontested.
Now, to say it's fully uncontested may not be fully true. There's also the 23 of Chris Schaefer, who I believe is in this mix. He's just not in the front. As Caleb Gilbert got shuffled out of line, the 54, who was running third, peels off. Oh, he's having some connection issues. That is going to drop him out of the field. That's also going to change the complexion up front. Rob Rader just lost the teammate that was pushing him. And now a 54 just trying to keep himself in the mix here. He's going to try to drop to the tail end of this draft pack, and he won't have to forfeit more spots than that, most likely, given that there's a big gap behind him. But he better hope that second group doesn't catch him, because right now his internet really being a menace.
With the recent update on iRacing and official lobbies, you can actually get a black flag for too many blinks, and I know that's going to make a lot of these guys pay more attention to their ISP. You're going to get a lot more phone calls over at Xfinity about how this internet isn't cooperating, and we're in a session full of 37 cars thundering around Daytona.
So now everyone trying to get up the hill, working around the lap traffic of Christian Bresnock and Michael Reed. They almost get into the wall there off of 4. Under 20 laps to go here in the Coastal Financial 250 in this season opening points paying race. Matt Robinson leads Rob Rader and Kyle Diaz. Almost had Rader look to the inside there. Rader thought against it, but is just right on the back bumper of the 11 right now. Robinson, no time to breathe, as you'd say. He is constantly being shoved down the straightaway here.
They are catching up, though, and we talked a little bit about how the 51 being a lap down. He has the opportunity. They can catch the tail end of this draft. About, off the metrics here, I'm trying to get an exact number. It's about 1.4 seconds now.
Yeah, they are starting to catch him a little bit. That lead group going double wide is starting to help bring this second group back, especially now they had gotten single file again. But you can see it's now basically about 2 even lines as far as car distribution, which is really going to help that second group. Morgan Cook, the first car in that line, although a lap down. Kyle Stewart, the first one on the lead lap in that group. Meanwhile, up front, Jeremy Burns has put himself up to P4 here. He's leading this outside lane on the charge to the front. He's trying to get up and alongside Nick Alves. That's going to be the battle for 4th.
He's getting help, but it's not much. The 13. Likens probably a little damage. You can see there the scuff on the 13 on the left door. Probably more damage than that. That car is kind of blacked out on the fender, so it's a little difficult to tell if he has any other aero damage, but I'm venturing to say that the 13 not going to be helped. And it looks like the 9 of Burns left out to dry here down the backstretch.
And just as quickly as that second line formed, it dissipates, but that also might be because here comes a big contingent of cars from that second group getting up into the mix. Kyle Stewart, the first car in that group. And that run goes all the way back to Michael Collin, 18th. Oh, the record! Likens is in the wall. Caution's out. Cars scattering down pit road through the infield, wherever they can go to avoid. As Jackson McGeorge now wrecks deeper into the tri-oval. This has been a long, long wreck.
This happens simultaneously with pit stops, and you saw some of those drivers that were committed. Morgan Cook was, I think, a candidate for the lucky pass position. This might pin him a lap down.
This is a tricky situation here. We'll take a look at what happened. So this all starts right around here. You see Likens and Erhardt door to door. Things just getting out of sorts. Likens ends up in the fence, got so loose. And then contact with Richardson and McGeorge is how the 98 ends up around. And I think there was more contact with the 14 and the 45 here at the tail end of this group. We'll jump on board here with the 57 of Dakota Floyd. You see what he saw from his vantage point.
Some of these cars were just pinned down pit road. They had no choice. You saw Morgan Cook. I think some of these guys thought about canceling their pits, and Dakota Floyd got away with it. These guys could not.
Yeah, at this point they had come down. Some of them just used pit lane as a way to avoid the incident. There's what happened with McGeorge and Richardson. Both of them ending up in the outside wall. Big damage for the 98. Boy, the 98 just barely got out of the way of the 45 there as the 45 tried to get up to the fence. That was almost a really bit of extra collision for both of them. That was really close to being another issue, but luckily for both of them, able to escape unscathed in the sense of that particular set of two cars. Although for the 98, definitely did not get through that one unscathed.
Don't go anywhere. We have under 20 laps to go. When we come back green, you're watching Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series live on V-Speed. Coastal Financial 250 live from Daytona. More coverage right after this.
So Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we've built a company that will stand the test of time. And my goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
Back here live at Daytona. We're going to have just over 10 laps to go for this restart. Matt Robinson, Kyle Diaz, Rob Rader, Justice Murphy, and Nick Alves for the top 5. Outside, not a good restart, and it looks like Robinson's going to have the headwind.
Matt Robinson going to jump out to the lead here once again, going in the one. A big push from Rob Rader. It's a 3-car separation before we get to the outside lane with Alves. Forget out of that mix as well. Diaz drops to the inside, and just like that, in under half a lap, the outside lane is completely dissolved up at the front of the field. Robinson, Rader, and Alves going to power their way into turn 3. Relatively unopposed, Trevor Erhardt, the first person in the outside lane, and he's all the way back in the 8th position.
Never got the cue there, but Morgan Cook is now the lucky pass. If a caution does come out, Al Likens has damage, has fallen back behind him by about 1.5 seconds. He continues to lose ground. This is where the intensity picks up, though. If there was going to be a caution, I think now this could bail out some of these guys that are trapped a lap down. You're starting to see some blinks there with the 26. Rob Rader glued to the back bumper. He's getting pushed 5-6 rows deep. Check up on the inside. They hold on to it. No, they don't.
Whoa.
There's the caution.
No.
10 into the wall.
Kyle Stewart around Sam Taylor, Picklesheimer, and more caught up in an incident here on lap 90. Boy, you were talking about that one and how that how big that checkup was. It looked like for a second they were going to be fine, and then just at the tail end of the line, everything came unglued. The wave crashing down back half of the field, and we are under yellow for, I believe, the 5th time here tonight.
This many cars is pretty impressive still, though, at Daytona. But look at this checkup on board with the 35. And the
Big
54
time
not
speed
filled.
there.
Yep. That's what caused it right there. The 54 came in and filled that hole right in front of the 35. Had that not happened, he probably gets through that.
Almost certainly, and you know that's a tough break for Caleb Gilbert as well. I mean, without seeing that checkup happening, that's a great move. You slide down to the lane that has the momentum. You get down to a spot that's going to work, and just moved in right as the checkup was reaching that point. Just bad luck, bad timing there for the 54, jumping on a move that ultimately ended up being his downfall.
Moves down in front. You can see the checkup accordion through that field. The 10. Stewart gets a piece of it. The 1. Nowhere to go. Bounces off of him. Let's go on board with Sam Taylor.
You see just how quickly it appeared, and at first it looked like he was going to be fine, but then the momentum from behind him collects him, pushes him through. He ends up sideways, spins out onto the track, and ends up back in the infield.
Listen to the
Ultimately, though,
throttle
didn't
time.
hit anything.
Listen to the throttle time here. He's going to bounce off of the 15 of Trevor Keith. Bounces off the 54. Gilbert just floors it all the way back to the apron. Sometimes it's that awareness and just kind of praying that nobody else hits you while you pull that move off, but it worked out better than it did for most. And the 15 of Trevor Keith got a lot of damage on that as well. He got pinned up in the outside wall. Back us up a little bit further. Right on board with the 15 one time.
Yeah, and you'll see, so this collection happens just in front of him, but when everyone gets scattered, it pushes him up into it. Right there, with Sam Taylor and Picklesheimer, ends up in the outside wall. Not a heavy bit of contact there for the 15, but enough where it's definitely going to affect the aero of that car a little bit. And it would be tough for him to be leading one of these lanes at this point, but he would probably still be pretty good inside the draft.
We were seeing there on that incident, Morgan Cook has been a part of every single one of these here tonight. He's been in the hunt or near it every single time there's an incident. That time, he got lucky. No one got into the back of him. He didn't get a piece of it. He's able to get that lucky dog and get back on the lead lap.
And he'll be scored 32nd as the last car on the lead lap here whenever they go racing again in about 2 laps. And of our 37 car field, only 5 of them are scored a lap down or more, and I believe all of them, with the exception of 1, are still on track. The only car multiple laps down at this point in time is the 4 of Christian Bresnock. Everyone else either on the lead lap or only 1 lap down. So with the way super speedway racing goes, Bradley, I would dare argue there's about 32 cars very much still in the hunt to potentially win this thing.
Very much so. And you can go through this field. I watched back with the Coca-Cola E-Series, PGR with what they did, and all the money racing that you could see across the board in iRacing, all the tournaments, the special events. A lot of them come to these super speedways, these plate tracks, and you never count yourself out. I mean, you almost have to have a meatball flag to count yourself out because you never know what can happen. If you're out there on the racetrack, it doesn't matter where you are. There could be something that happens on the final lap, in the first turn, the last turn. You could have attrition that puts you back in the hunt where, you get wrecked early in this race, get all that damage repaired, and everyone else is beat up. You still have a good enough car. We saw that in the duels with damaged cars winning or passing on the final stretch.
Yeah.
It's insane what these next-gen cars are capable of.
Yeah, especially when it comes to soldiering on through damage that otherwise should have put them out. They are very durable in that sense, and I think none epitomized more than the 12 of Justice Murphy. Had a significant bit of damage in the early go. That one pass repair, I believe, that he had. And now finds himself on the front row when it matters most. It'll be him and Matt Robinson on the front row. Rader and Erhardt, 2 Alves and Burns in that third row.
Well, hopefully,
Rob Rader has
Blaney luck at Daytona. That's all I have to
yeah,
say.
really. Yeah, really. Oh, the 12 going to stay far away from that turn 4 wall, I'd imagine.
Double back up, got them all sorted. 7 laps to go. iRacing pace car out of the way. 5 cautions, 13 lead changes. Stage 1 winner, Rob Rader. On the inside here with the 11. Another restart for Matt Robinson.
Robinson got a big launch, but the 53 didn't go with him. Gonna maybe leave him out to dry here, as here comes 12 to the outside. A big run for Rader right to the back bumper. A big shot. However, the 11 gonna collect it, keep it moving forward, and he's gonna be able to maintain the lead here going down the back straightaway.
On the outside, you have the 41 of Trevor Erhardt giving the push to the 12 of Murphy. Justice Murphy has a chance to take away this win. The 11 has had about 3 consecutive restarts now. This time around, the outside got organized rather quickly. They still aren't connected. Rob Rader doing all the work he can. Nick Alves a little bit further back. We're having a connection issue here. It looks like we're back live. I think we've caught back up. We're back live here on V-Speed. If
oh, boy.
Their action here is side by side, almost 5 laps to go at Daytona.
That was almost a wreck from the lead. Robinson and Rader, a really misconnected push. Got Robinson all the way up to the middle lane. Another little swirly push there in the 3. The 53 hammering away at the back bumper of the 11. And right now, Matt Robinson getting all he asked for and more here up at the front of this field. Another big push off of 4. And they're getting some serious separation now from Justice Murphy. The outside line just not able to generate the pushes quite like the 53 has been able to do to the 11. But they are getting a little 2-car breakaway action here with 5 laps to go here in the Coastal Financial 250.
Oh, there's the jump. There's the jump. Matt Robinson about to be left out to dry. He's going to fall back to the 26 of Kyle Diaz. They're fanning out down the backstretch.
Oh, there it goes. Linz is around. Grant Turner in the wall. Chris Nail, Jeremy Burns all skittering through the infield. I was about to say, how had they not wrecked? It looked like they were 5 and 6 wide going down the back straightaway. And then just as I was saying it, it finally happened. It just looked like they had all got glued together. All sorts of cars getting caught up in this one. Oh, and Cook got turned around real late. Might have been something with their Kyle Stewart potentially. Travis Gilbert caught up in it, but all this starts higher up. Looks like Burns and maybe Linz gets a part of that in the early going. Sam Taylor nowhere to go. Same with Pickle Simer. And that is just a junkyard out there. One more look at it here on board with Carter Linz. Oh, he got turned around before that. It was whatever row was behind him. Looks like Jeremy Burns was caught right in the thick of it. If we could see that from like a sky cam or something, I think we'd see just how messy that got with the 9 and everybody else. You could see just at the bottom right of your screen just how clustered that all got.
Yeah, it's a big stack up there. Saw him fan out. There's a checkup on the outside that caused that. And everybody just kind of stuck on the pedal here.
And that wasn't going to work when they were all trying to force the issue. Big wreck there. Grant Turner, Travis Gilbert, Devin Hudgens. Harrison's in there. Obviously, Lynch we've talked about. Big wreck. I mean, if you're Tyler Harrison, there's just nowhere to go. I mean, he probably bounces 6 or 7 times before that wreck fully begins. That's just how little space there was.
And the 22 is pretty far back here. This puts us into green-white checkered territory.
Yeah, he went high to avoid the first incident, and just then the bigger catch net of cars who were sideways was right where he tried avoiding to. And then ends up getting a little insult to injury there with a little bit of additional contact with Al Likens. And with that, that's going to really shuffle the complexion of the front of this field. Obviously, Raiders got the lead at the moment. Nick Alves up there in P2 with Robinson and Diaz, but then just about everybody from 5th on back is a completely new face from who was there a lap ago. Guys like Michael Bennett, Dakota Floyd, Justice Murphy, Alex Forget, Parker Johnston, Kevin Orlando Jr. is back in the mix. Tell you what, there are cars who we have barely talked about all day who have found themselves now in striking distance as we enter the green-white checkered.
Well, and that's the war of attrition. That's Daytona. Like I was saying earlier, never count yourself out. You could have been one of those cars that had a rough time at the start of this race or didn't have the first stage, got damaged early. Go down to pit road, get it fixed. I mean, stay in this thing as long as you can. Because until it's completely blown up, there is a chance of a top 5 at the least. We haven't seen the end of the fireworks. This is green-white checkered time, and we know that super speedway's notorious for everybody's going to send it. Everybody's going for that top spot, and if you're 10th on up, you're willing to make a gutsy call, take a chance, go with somebody that steps out of line. But the most important thing is you're not going to lift.
No, and at this point, you can't afford to. So we've got, at most, 2 attempts at a green-white checkered. This will be the first one. Hopefully, this will be the only one they need. 2 available tonight if they need it. Basically, you know, you got 2 laps of a shootout here whenever they take the green. If a caution comes out before they take the white flag, they'll re-rack it and try it one more time. And if they take the white flag, next flag, checkered or caution, will end the race.
Do we make it to that white flag here?
I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I'd be hammering no right about now.
Well,
Something tells me that everyone's going to be trying to push for all it's worth here, and I think something's going to get real finicky going into turn 3, just like we saw a moment ago. That being said, maybe they have incredibly good racecraft in this series, so it could be dead wrong. But it's also super speedway racing, so it doesn't matter how talented the series is. At some point, super speedway racing will triumph overall and just be an absolute junkyard.
Well, let's find out. Green flag, green-white checkered attempt number 1. 2 laps to go. Rob Rader, Nick Alves on the inside. Already a block there on the 26 of Kyle Diaz, but Diaz has the momentum. Rob Rader jumped out too far. He's trying to get this thing going.
Yeah, Diaz with a great run off the corner. He's going to elect to stay to the high side, though, blocking Bennett. Murphy going to make it 3 wide for second. And now behind, here comes Rob Rader with a big shot to the back bumper.
They just have to make it out of turn 4 and get across that line. I think they can hold on to it. We will. Almost a block, but late there on the move. And 53 of Rader into the wall. White flag one more time around Daytona.
White flag in the air presented by Erhardt Homes. Love where you live. And here comes Rob Rader. Loving where he's at right now is Forget with a big run to the back bumper.
Big wreck in the back. Can they hold on to it here in the top 20? Actually, top 15 is still rolling around, but they will fall apart. Trevor Keith into the wall.
More cars peeling away. Raider has Murphy on the back bumper. Does the 12 have a move that he can make?
I think he's going to step out right here if he's going to go. Now's the time.
Oh,
there it is.
Big move for the 12. Got a piece of... Oh, they're wrecking at the line. Oh, my God. I think that was Nick Alves. I think Alves stole it at the line by 0.006 of a second over Kyle Diaz. You can see the energy. You can see the enthusiasm. Nick Alves, as the leaders, Justice Murphy and Rob Raider wrecked coming off of turn 4. It was the 24 who found a way to get it done by the slimmest of margins.
And it was side by side there across the line between the 12 of Justice Murphy and the 53 of Rob Raider. They're going to come home 4th and 5th. They knocked themselves out of a podium there. The 12 came down. Rob Raider had no more track left.
Yeah, Justice Murphy with the slick move off of 4, a little bit of contact, worked his way to the outside, had the run. The 53 gave him a shot. They both went around, and it was Alves who was there to jump on the opportunity. And the man who rolled off on the front row today had a bit of a wild ride all day long, found himself right back where he started, right at the most critical moment.
So as we try to gather up this top 3, you're looking at Nick Alves, Kyle Diaz, and Matt Robinson. Robinson leading the vast majority of the second half of this race. Had the pit strategy, had the calls, but ultimately, after 33 laps led, he's going to come home in 3rd position. Your winner here tonight, Nick Alves. We're going to back this up one time, take a look at this finish. I have to back it up a little bit more. There's a big wreck in the back of this field as well.
Yeah, no kidding. A lot of cars in there. Kyle Stewart, Pickle Simer, Morgan Cook, and more. Looks like Brandon Richardson as well. And there was another one here. Okay, so this is the original wreck. You're going in the 1 and 2 on the final lap. This is the first of several incidents on this final lap. Starts with a little bit of contact there. Yeah, just, pushing, shoving. Cars getting out of sorts, and a big one wiping out the tail end. But racing continued up at the front. There was more contact there. Trevor Keith and company. You see there, contact Joe Joya, Tyler Harrison. Looks like Chris Nail and Sirkovich. No one went around, but they all lost a ton of track position as they go 4 wide into 3. Wow, and then more contact there with Lancaster. And then this was the move for the win. Murphy goes high. Contact. Rob Raider goes up the track to try to take it away. The 2 starts spinning. And even though Diaz had a great run, a huge shove for Matt Robinson just barely pushed Nick Alves there at the line. Look at how much distance he had to close in the final 500 feet. How did he actually get there?
I don't know. I mean, other than the shove.
Diaz has a full car length and a half on him when those 2 cars make contact, and they're in the restart zone. And yet somehow the pace differential, Alves able to get there by just not even a nose. Scrap of bent metal, like maybe the splitter. Unreal. And he's still a full car length behind, past the restart zone. Man. Not to use one of the more overused quotes in stock car racing, but have you ever?
No, I've never. But I actually have.
Yeah,
To
in
add
this
on to
case,
that,
we had.
I mean,
Yeah,
we've seen a lot here, and this talent of this caliber of drivers and what they put on, excellent show. I know that some of these guys probably a little frustrated, but overall, it was a fantastic show, a fantastic broadcast, and now we get to round some of these guys up, bring them into the broadcast booth. We have in our waiting room right now your race winner, Nick Alves, in the number 24. Do you got a copy?
I do.
Well, Nick, you somehow get that push there, that final shot from Matt Robinson out of turn 4 across the tri-oval, just enough by 6/1000ths of a second over Kyle Diaz. You are victorious in week number 1.
That's awesome. I've been, I was being funny in our team chat. I was like, I finally won my own race. I've been sponsoring this race for, feels like forever now, and I finally got it done. But no, thanks. Definitely a great push by Matty. We were on a team together for the last 2 seasons, and we briefly talked before the race about working together if we ever were near each other. So I'm very thankful that he was the one behind me there coming out of 4, and thankfully the other 3 or 4 guys in front of me decided to race really hard and wreck each other. So that worked out really well for me.
Well, we go back to earlier in this race, the stages and the cautions, the aggression. It never really mellowed out after that stage. It seemed like the intensity picked up right after pit stops. You were able to get in and out of pit road cleanly. You ran a quiet race, and you just kind of lurked back there in that top 5 for most of the day.
I think that what was on everyone's mind was really trying to save fuel. So everyone knew before the stage we had to pit, so it was just kind of calm before the stage, like you said, and then after the stage, it was like everyone who was working together, like Performance, my team was working with EXR today, and we just kept discussing trying to maintain track position while also trying to save as much fuel, but we kept talking about the numbers of what lap we had a target on of when we wanted to pit, and it just came down throughout the stage. Everyone just had the same mindset of wanting to be at the front, and you have to be at the front of these things to actually have a shot, regardless if it's lap 20 or lap 99 coming to the white flag. So it was aggressive, but I had a shout out to the guys. I thought for the amount of aggression that we seen today or tonight, it wasn't as bad with like the wrecks and stuff. Guys seemed to have a lot of control of the cars, and there were a handful with, especially coming down to the end there, with people just bumping each other, the pusher pushing the pusher, and luckily we came out on top, obviously.
Well, congratulations on this victory. You finally got that sponsor money back in your pocket. So, I mean, throw that out there, but we appreciate the sponsorship and helping V-Speed be a part of these shows. Nick Alves, anybody else that you want to shout out for this week 1, starting the season off right?
Yeah, absolutely. Bradley, thank you to you and Alex for putting on a fantastic broadcast. Can't wait to go back and watch that tonight and tomorrow morning. Shout out to Chapman Environmental Services, the main sponsor and the premier sponsor of the Cup Series, Buttkicker, all about bugs. Obviously, Coastal Financial, my sponsor and obviously sponsor in this race. And thank you for the $50 that I will not be sending to anybody tonight. I'll be keeping that for myself. Erhardt Homes, Ultimate Exterior Lighting, and then big shout out to my performance teammates, Michael Bennett, Alex Forget, for always being fantastic teammates and working together, and then EXR with the alliance we have them this year with Jeremy Burns, Robert Rader, and then Caleb Gilbert also. And big shout out to the rest of the league for putting on a great show. I'm sure hopefully everyone else that tuned in tonight enjoyed it as much as I did.
Nick Alves, winner here at Daytona. He'll go into week number 2 at Atlanta with the points lead. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
So with that, we're going to round up these final results. We got a few other drivers to talk to, but you are watching the Coastal Financial 250 as concluded at Daytona. More coverage post-race right after this.
So Chapman's been around for 32, almost 33 years. It's a great company. We've built it from 10 people not all that long ago to 32 people today. We continue to grow. We're hiring people all the time. If there's one thing that I could do, like before my time is up at Chapman, it is making sure that we built a company that will stand the test of time. And My goal as the current owner of the company, or one of the owners of the company, is to ensure that we can pass the ownership of the organization on to the next generation of people coming up the ranks today. One area of our business where we impact the local communities pretty heavily is the school systems. So we work for school systems all over the northern part of the state of New Jersey. We operate their water systems, their wastewater systems. We do a lot of their permitting and compliance work, and we ensure that the water that the kids drink is clean. We go out and do the sampling to ensure that it's not contaminated. And we also treat the wastewater that's being generated at a lot of these facilities as well before it gets discharged to the environment. So we are supporting the local community through supporting the boards of education and the local school systems.
Back here at the World Center of Racing Revolution, and the Chapman Environmental Services Cup Series has concluded their event of 100 laps, a little bit of overtime here tonight. One green-white checkered, and see those final results up on your screen. 6 cautions, 23 lead changes. Rob Rader gets the stage victory, but maybe just throws away a little bit of an opportunity there. Could have had a top 3. Falls back to 4th across that tri-oval. We talked to Nick Alves, your winner here tonight. Kyle Diaz and Matt Robinson will be up in the broadcast booth here momentarily. Rob Rader, Justice Murphy round out your top 5. Then it's Alex Forget Berube, winner in the Truck Series. Top 10 here tonight. He'll get 6. Michael Call, impressive finish there. Able to gain about 10 positions to be up here to 7th tonight. Parker Johnston will finish in 8th. Trevor Erhardt in 9th. Kevin Orlando Jr. will round out your top 10.
Finishing 11th tonight was Michael Bennett after starting 34th. A big day for him, big gains. Jacob Sirkovich finishes 12th here tonight, just ahead of Jeremy Burns. Carter Linz finishing 14th, with Chad Lancaster finishing 15th tonight, plus 22 positions. Trevor Keith will bring it home 16th tonight. Tyler Harrison in 17th. Devin Hudgens finishing 18th tonight, just ahead of Caleb Gilbert and Grant Turner.
21st spot goes to Sam Taylor. Brandon Richardson will finish in 22nd. Dakota Floyd 23rd. Joe Joya in 24th spot. Chris Nail 25th. Justin Ritchie 26th spot. Michael Reed in 27th. Dylan Picklesheimer will finish in 28th. Jackson McGeorge in 29th position. 30th goes to James Loveland.
And the rest of our field tonight, Jackson McGeorge finishing 31st, Morgan Cook 32nd, Grant Thorpe 33rd, Al Likens 34th, Travis Gilbert, Christopher Schaefer, and Christian Bresnock, the last cars, finishing tonight's event.
I think we had some double names there. I think my timing screen versus the final results screen, some of these cars not able to tow back or actually go across the line on their own power. So sometimes that breaks my timing screen. So I apologize for any of the names I double mentioned there. Back half of this field got all but totaled and destroyed. So it was kind of hard to sort that out. But it's like we said, unofficial results. We'll get those sorted out for the points for next week. And you'll know for sure who finished where. But with that, we're going down pit road. We're going to catch up to your second place driver, Kyle Diaz. And Alex Gagnon has caught up with the 26.
Once I could move him to the broadcast booth, there we go. Hey there, Kyle. This is Alex and Bradley in the booth.
What's up, guys? How are you doing tonight?
Doing all right. Got treated to a wild finish there at the end, of which you nearly were able to take the win here in the season opener. Just missed out by 0.06 of a second. Kyle, talk to us about that green-white checkered and what it was like on that last run.
It was just first of all, it was a great race, and glad to be back racing with RR. And the last restart right there, I restarted on the high side and was able to get a good restart and get a good push and clear myself down to the inside. And from there, kind of just got some good pushes and was able to kind of keep myself in contention. But it was a crazy finish right there. I didn't see them coming to the line behind me, Nick getting the big push from Robinson because I was kind of focused on the guys wrecking in front of me, but still a good result here to start the season.
I mean, yeah, you went from 28th to second, a huge mover, gained as many positions as your car number tonight, which is no easy feat. To your point about not seeing them coming, I mean, I can't say I blame you. The chaos happening in front of you. I mean, two cars that were battling for the lead off of end up wrecking. You have the ability to go by them. In hindsight, do you think there's anything you could have done differently there, despite how quickly that situation developed?
The only way I think I could have maybe had a chance is if I never went for the move on the outside and just stayed in front of Nick, and I was the one able to get the push in that scenario. But it just didn't work out that way. He was able to get the push, and I just lost out by 6 thousandths.
That's entirely fair, but still a really, really strong points day for you. I mean, you were having some trouble early on, kind of getting up to the mix, but then once you got there, you were good to stay for the rest of the night. Was it tough to pass out there tonight, or was it just a matter of not catching the runs at the right time?
Yeah, it was pretty hard to pass because, like as you guys said, I was in the back for the good start of the race, but with a couple of cautions and the pit road cycles, I was able to work my way up and keep my track position up there behind all the people that are pushing and working well up there.
Ultimately, you being able to stay up there led you to a really strong opening to the start of the season here, finishing P2. Kyle, anyone you'd like to shout out here tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to shout out to my race team, Racing for Freedom, Travis, Devin, Brandon, Ray, Tay, and everybody else who races with us. Travis, of course. Just really excited to be racing here again, and shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Alrighty, well, Kyle, thank you so much for dropping by. Congrats on the podium finish, and hope to talk to you again real soon.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.
That was second place finisher Kyle Diaz, who came up just 6,000th short here tonight. Bradley Cooper catching up with our final member of our podium here, Matt Robinson.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Matt? I gotta say, it was push or be pushed, and for you, 33 laps. That's how many you led. But the opportunity kind of faded away there on that green-white checkered. Never really had the chance to say, I'm going to get pushed across the start-finish line. You just kind of got stuck in a traffic jam on the inside.
Yeah, hindsight there, I probably should have picked the outside. Most of my teammates lined it up fourth row back on the outside, so there's like 3 or 4 of them. I felt at that moment my best luck was to try and take the inside and follow Nick and Rob, and then try and side draft Nick when I could, but we never really broke apart. I kind of was thinking the inside line would get a good restart compared to the outside, and it didn't happen.
You go back to all those other restarts, had this race stay green, you had Rob Rader behind you, you had a group of about 16 or 17 cars, but nobody really willing to step out. Do you think that this would have been one of those last lap moves as we saw on this green-white checkered, or do you think you come away with the win?
My guess is that if we stayed that way, most of us were all going to pit on the same lap. When that caution came out, we were about to pit in 2 laps. Actually, the next lap we were going to pit. And it probably would have got a little jumbled there. Probably would have cut down from 14 to maybe 8 to 10, depending on how everybody hits the pit box. It would have depended if I had any teammates or it's a free-for-all.
Outside of that, we've talked to you previously. I know you're having a lot of success here at Daytona, but we're going to go on to an even more narrow grooved racetrack at Atlanta. What's in store for us there when we go to Georgia?
It's going to be all about track position. I mean, it's going to be the same as here. Track position there, though, is way more substantial because you can't really go 3 wide. I mean, you really can if you want to, but you're just kind of asking for trouble.
Well, with that, hopefully you qualify well, Matt Robinson. Anybody you got to shout out before we let you go?
Shout out my old team. It was fun running with all those guys. Shout out to my new team, Rolling Thunder Racing. We were up front most of the race. It felt really, really good. Shout out to you guys. You guys always do a great broadcast. Chapman Environmental, KSX Paints for my paint scheme this year. It came out fantastic. The throwback to the old Mark Martin with the little V's on the side. If you get to zoom in on it, at some point you'll see all the little scissors. It's really, really good.
Well, I'll try to get a good look at that. I know that spec mapping and all these little details that painters put into these things, sometimes it goes unnoticed, it goes unchecked here on the broadcast. But outside of that, Matt, we appreciate your time. And here's probably the best angle that we're going to get at it here across the tri-oval. So
Yeah, it's all
I
good.
see what you're talking about. Yep. Looks like
Yep,
an old Mark
fantastic.
Martin scheme.
Yep. One more. Shout out to my wife, my kids, and my parents that always watch every single night. I wouldn't be doing this without them, and it's just such a blast.
Matt Robinson, third place here at Daytona. We'll go into next week with a solid finish at Atlanta. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Well, Alex, that's all she wrote here for week number 1. What a fantastic day. Probably one of the top 3 finishes that we've seen here on V-Speed.
It's phenomenal. I mean, unfortunate circumstances there for the 12 and the 53, but it led to an absolutely fantastic finish for Alves and Diaz. And, for Nick Alves, win number 1 in the books, set to go for the postseason already. And for Kyle Diaz, 6,000th away from being able to claim the same thing. So, interesting opportunity is going to be shaping up next week at this place, Atlanta Motor Speedway. It'll be next week, February 26th. Show starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Another track with restrictor plate style, but this one a very different flair. You actually got to use the brake, which, when it comes to super speedway racing, makes it a very different animal indeed.
Yeah, this track remodeled there it's been about 3-4 years ago now. But you talk about the old Atlanta versus the new one. This one's flat out, wide open, side by side, lap after lap. It's not until you get almost out of fuel that you actually have to start lifting off the throttle and plan an entry into these corners. I'm excited for when the asphalt wears back out at this place. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I miss the old Atlanta, but as far as action goes, there will be no shortage of it on February 26th. For everybody here at V-Speed, though, that helped put this together, Adam Baker in the background, always making awesome graphics, doing the work behind the scenes. Our other producers, Eddie Smith, Logan Threlkeld, Morgan Cook, DJ Lyon, Christian Hill. This is Bradley Cooper on behalf of Alex Gagnon telling you so long from Daytona. We'll see you in 1 week's time.